The picture for tax today is increasing globalization, massively increasing complexity brought about by the globalization of the business, by the government pressures for, on one hand, austerity in much of Europe, on the other hand, needing money, the political pressures. So when I look out at the world, I see a slow economy in most places in the world. I see a change in the economic focus from Europe and the West to the East to the South. I see that creating opportunities for some of our clients, but challenges for virtually all of our clients.
Just before a few years ago, you couldn't have 1,000 friends. You didn't have what's called ambient intimacy. You walk up to somebody you haven't seen them in 6 months, you ask them, how was your run yesterday? Right? And that kind of ambient knowledge is now going to happen in business. Right? And so now we're stepping into this arena where, as a leader, you want to get something done, you actually have tremendous power, or will shortly, if we do our job right in technology, to do things at a scale and speed you've never experienced before.
This week has seen Starbucks, Amazon and Google labelled as immoral tax avoiders.
Pay your tax! 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 Pay your tax!
The stakeholders are going to be knocking at the door. Tax has become much more in focus. It's always been important, but important maybe to a smaller group. Now it's important to a broader group. And I think it's incumbent upon the tax director to lead that. The tax director has access, or should have access, to other people in the C-suite, right? The board to understand the tax strategy. The tax director, in addition to having the technical competence, needs to be able to communicate those complex things very directly and calmly.
We need the answer right away. There's a greater sense of urgency. We think that any time that you can better collaborate with your teams, the more effective and efficient the tax departments will run.
What you have is a basket of qualities. It's not about tools, instinct and relationships are probably more important, especially when you enter new situations, than any basic technical skill set you could ever have.
Leadership and decisiveness, I don't think that can be underestimated, because leaders tend to aggregate talent around them. And I think a tax director needs to communicate both across the organization, up not just to the CFO, but to other stakeholders. And very importantly, communicate down.
I think it's critically important, if you're going to make a difference to an organization, that you are willing to get out of your comfort zone and take risk. But I think it's really important to recognize that it's calculated risk I'm talking about, and measured risk, not reckless decisions.
I think that the job is as difficult today as it ever has been.
So while every generation might think it's living in the unprecedented times, I'm old enough now that I think that's us. And I do believe that in many ways we're in the midst of a change that we haven't at least seen in a really long time.